This video will cover the steps to configure VLANs via a radius server on the QB/MP8000 series. This video is not intended to address the VLAN radius protocol/terminology and implementation on the network level. Proper VLAN radius configuration requires that the users have adequate understanding and experience of both the VLAN protocol and general networking. Please contact your network administrator before attempting any configuration changes on your network. Note: incorrect VLAN configuration may cause loss of management access to the QB/MP units. 3 topics will be addressed in this video: QB/MP base station configuration, radius and VLANs, general guidelines on setting up radius server, adding subscribers to radius server. Over the course of this video, we will cover the details of the configuration on the base station, provide general guidelines for radius server configuration, and the addition of subscribers to the radius server. To configure the radius option, click on Advanced Configuration, Security, and then Radius. Please note, before configuring the base station, it must be added to the radius server. The first step is to set up the profile name. By default, the name is default radius. This is something that you can configure to your own liking. Next is the max retransmission. This represents the maximum number of times a authentication request may be transmitted to the configured radius server. The range is 0 to 3. By default, it is set to 3. Next is message response time. This represents the time in seconds for which the BSU or endpoint A should wait for the radius server to respond to a request. The range is 3 to 9 seconds by default. It is set to 3 seconds. The reauthentication period ranges from 900 to 65,535 seconds. By default, the reauthentication period is set to 0. The next step is to enter the radius server information. You have the primary server information and the secondary. If you have to use the secondary, you could go and configure it. What you're going to need is the IP address. This is the IP address of the radius server. The server port, which is typically set to port 1812, and the shared secret. The shared secret is going to be shared between the radius server and the base station itself. By default, the primary server is set to enable and the secondary is set to disable. After all of this information has been entered, go ahead and click OK. The next step is to enable the radius MAC ACL status. This can be located under Advanced Configuration, Wireless Interface 1, and then Warp. After you've completed that, go ahead and click OK. To enable the VLAN feature, click on Advanced Configuration and VLAN. This will take you to the VLAN screen. Here you will have the VLAN status. This parameter is used to either enable or disable the VLAN feature on the device. By default, this parameter is disabled. The Management VLAN ID. This parameter enables the user to configure VLAN ID management frames, i.e. SNMP, ping, telnet, and TFTP. The stations that manage the device must tag the management frames with the management VLAN ID. By default, the management VLAN ID is set to -1, which indicates that no tag is added to the management frame. To set VLAN tag to the management frame, enter a value ranging from 1 to 4094. After enabling the VLAN status and entering the management VLAN ID, go ahead and click OK. This will save the configuration. Note, before setting the management VLAN ID, make sure that the station that manages the device is a member of the same VLAN, or else you will lose access to the device. The next step is to add the VLAN IDs to the BSU table. If a VLAN ID is not added to the list, the BSU will drop the frame. To do so, click on Advanced Configuration, VLAN, Ethernet. Here you will see either Ethernet 1 or Ethernet 2. The 8000 series supports 3 VLAN modes: transparent, trunk, and access. The BSU supports transparent and trunk, while the SU supports transparent, trunk, and access modes. Transparent mode is equivalent to no VLAN support, and this is the default mode. Trunk mode is used to connect VLAN-aware networks with VLAN-aware networks. Access mode is used to connect VLAN-aware networks with VLAN-unaware networks. When trunk mode is selected, the VLAN table will be displayed. To add VLANs to the table, click Add, enter one of the VLAN IDs, click Add, and go ahead and click OK. Continue adding until all of the VLANs that's supported by your network are added. Once complete, go ahead and click Commit. This will save the configuration. Once the base is connected to the Radius server, it will allow communication between the server and the subscribers. The Radius server must be set up appropriately in order to recognize the subscribers and pass the vendor-specific attributes, or VSAs. Once the Radius server is set up, each subscriber must then be added to the Radius server and configured appropriately. The details will be provided shortly. Once the subscribers are authenticated by the Radius server, the VLAN attributes configured on the Radius server will be applied to each subscriber. Now we will provide a general overview of the server client attributes. Please note, special configurations are beyond the scope of this video, as each network setup in Radius server is unique and network administrators need to tailor their configurations accordingly. If support is needing on setting up the Radius server, please contact the Radius server technical support department. We will now cover the general guidelines on setting up Radius server. Proxim vendor specific attributes are used to pass the information from the Radius server to the subscribers. In order to use the Proxim attributes, a new Radius dictionary file will have to be created. The Proxim vendor ID is 841. This is used in the creation of the Radius dictionary file. Once the dictionary file has been completed, you could add the subscribers to the Radius server. Add each subscriber by entering the username and password, which will be the subscriber's wireless MAC address with no delimiters. An example is shown here. Add the required attributes to the SU Radius client profile. The attributes, numbers, formats, and possible values are listed in the previous chart. These are also available in the user's manual that is available online at support.proxim.com. Establish the warp link between each subscriber and the base station. Once established, the subscriber will be authenticated by the Radius server and will automatically reconfigure based on the VSA. Note, VLAN status should be disabled on the subscriber. If not, then the local configuration takes priority over Radius provisioning. Radius-based configuration is lost when the radial link goes down. To verify that the VLAN settings have taken, telnet into the SU, type in enable, enter, then show active-VLAN. Go ahead and hit enter. You will see the active VLAN config is going to be set as remote, what it should be, and it's going to also display all the settings that you have set via the VLAN via Radius dictionary file. For more Proxim Support TV videos and access to our various support offerings, please visit support.proxim.com. If technical support is required, please call us at 1-866-674-6626 or open a ticket with us.